And welcome back. My guest, Michelle Hutchings-Medina. The areas I wanted to talk to you about, but I looked in the St. Louis American newspaper recently, and I saw your picture. It says, newcomer challenges Hubbard. I want to develop accountable Mrs. Michelle Hutchings-Medina. So this is an American, St. Louis American newspaper. So you're running for public service.
I am. I'm running for Alderwoman of the 5th Ward in St. Louis. It represents some parts of downtown West, but neighborhoods such as Carr Square, Columbus Square, near North Riverfront, St. Louis Place, Old North.
In the article, I noticed that you were talking about Paul McKee and this North Side development and so forth. What can you tell us about that and your interest?
Well, clearly it's a major development project that is predominantly in the 5th Ward. And so this it's at the Missouri Supreme Court right now in terms of the viability of the TIF that was associated with that.
TIF meaning tax incremental
financing. And so it's just a huge project, and there's not a lot of definition about the project. And there's really not a lot of community engagement about what's really going to be, what services are going to be brought to the community, and what type of projects are going to be brought to the community.
So what do you want to do? What are you suggesting?
It's really important for the community to be engaged in this project. It's important for the developers to be held accountable. And really, every tax-paying citizen should be concerned about how those tax dollars are spent as it relates to tax credits. And so what we need is leadership that's going to be able to hold the developers accountable.
And I assume you're seeking support. Do you have a contact number or a way they can reach you?
I do. Very good question. I can be reached at 314-685-8122. Also at the website Citizens for Michelle Hutchings-Medina, which is www.citizensformhm.com.
Great. I noticed that Chris King did the article in the St. Louis American, and it's a very extensive article. It tells a lot about your background and so forth, and I'm very, very happy just to meet you in person. It says you challenges the incumbent. Any particular points you want to make while you have this opportunity?
Yes, thank you. Really, we need the ward needs leadership, particularly in areas such as public safety, in areas such as inclusive and responsible development, and particularly as it relates to community engagement. I think the community has really not been engaged in terms of projects, in terms of meetings, in terms of understanding what the community really wants to see.
I'm saying you're going against more or less like a little dynasty. Is that what I understand?
That's what they say.
Yeah.
Clearly, St. Louis is run by many political families. I'm not certain whether that really serves the best interests of the people anymore. And I think one thing that I do love about St. Louis and the politics here is that the threshold, the entry is fairly low, and I believe the people should have the opportunity to hear from other candidates and other people in the community that probably have lots of different ideas. And so I believe that a fresh, new, out-of-the-box approach is what's needed today.
And there's so much I want to ask you about and so many things to talk about in the city of St. Louis. Have you done any research on this city? Do you know its political history?
I do.
And what do you think about it?
Well,
in your opinion?
In my opinion, there's a tremendous amount of divisiveness here as it relates to political factions, relates to what happens on different sides of Del Mar. What I want to see is a united St. Louis, because this place is a jewel. It has so much to offer. And I think if we could just change the face of politics a little bit, we'd be able to advance. So
you've noticed the polarization in the city.
Oh, absolutely.
And the dividing line. A lot of people says Del Mar is a dividing line, especially in the races, black and white. So how would you change that? Would you reach across that line?
Oh, absolutely. I'm across the line.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
So I think one thing that I've been able to do in my career is been able to bring people together, to be a consensus builder, to bring the right people to the table and help people understand that there are more commonalities than there are differences between people. And I think when we watch the media, the news, the newspapers, they feed off of that divisiveness. But as I move around the ward and move around the Fifth Ward and interact with different individuals, there's so much more commonality than there is.
Once again, the boundaries of the Fifth Ward? Just
yes,
approximately.
Yes, it's easier to describe it by neighborhoods, because in the last redistricting process, the map is very, very non-contiguous.
Kind of jagged.
Yes,
okay.
yes. So it covers some parts of downtown West, Carr Square, Columbus Square, near North Riverfront, Old North, St. Louis Place, those areas.
Okay. Is that where the new bridge is coming through?
Yes,
coming
absolutely.
through the Fifth Ward?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a very important one. I know it has a lot of history, and I do know that it was redrawn recently.
Yes.
And so you're going for the Alderperson of the Fifth Ward.
Of the Fifth Ward.
Okay. We talked about health care earlier, so you must have an extensive background in health care. Tell us about your education. Tell us that.
Yes, I have a bachelor's degree in radiation therapy technology from Howard University.
Howard. Very impressive.
And, spent a lot of time in D.C. during my college years, and then I also obtained a master's degree in human resources management from Webster University.
Wow. I teach at Webster.
Okay.
Yes, sir, I teach at Webster University. What inspired you to, this is it's a necessary question, but it's also a very stupid question to some people. Why did you continue into higher education? Why did you seek advanced degrees?
It's not a stupid question at all. It's actually a really good question. I am of the mindset that education is the great equalizer. That it is the one thing that no one can take away from you, and continued advancement, lifelong learning, whether it's in a degreed program or whether it's certificate-based program or just exploring new things. I'm a strong believer in lifelong learning, and so when I discover something new or want to go on another track, I just kind of do my research and jump right in.
Did that tell us about growing up? Did your family kind of say, Michelle, you're going to continue this education, or they says, well, does it leave it primarily up to you or what?
Yep, it was primarily up to me. I grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, single mom, had her first child at 16, very, very humble. I was raised in a very humble environment, and my mom would have been really just happy if I would have just gotten a job.
Okay.
But I knew that there was always something else out there for me, and so I probably was a little crazy because I left Philadelphia without much money and didn't know anyone in Washington, D.C., but decided that I wanted to go to Howard, and I just showed up and made it work.
Now you have experience in family life. Tell us about your family life.
Yep, my family life, I've been married to a wonderful man for 20 years.
Okay.
We actually met at a radiation therapy conference because he's in the field as well. And we were married like 9 months later and been happily married ever since.
That's wonderful. So what made you decide to go into public service?
I've always had the opportunity to serve people all my life, whether it was, growing up in high school and being involved in school politics, or whether it was being involved in volunteer activities, and then when I moved into healthcare, serving people at that level, as well as when I began a management career in healthcare and serving my employees. And so I've always had a desire to serve and to make things better. And once some things were revealed to me in terms of the St. Louis local political structure, I made a decision that either I'm going to be part of the solution or I'm going to be part of the problem. And so getting involved to me is being part of the solution.